spent my entire 20s shrinking, never chased what I actually wanted. That was always a dream, unattainable. It would be nice, but me, I never chased the girl I actually wanted. I didn't go to college. I didn't leave that small town for a long time. And when I finally did get out, I dragged that exact same fear with me all the way to Hawaii, all the way to Thailand, where it quietly killed my business, was quietly killing this life that I wanted to build so badly. It was like I got out of it, but I didn't get out of it. It stuck with me. I still fight that from time to time. It's crazy. But by the end of this video, you're going to understand the 2-word rule that really started snapping me out of it and really hit home recently. And you'll have a concrete 7-day plan to start using it this week. So growing up, I had a best friend. Man, some of my first memories in life are with this dude. We used to stay up late, talking about what our life was going to be like, making each other promises without them being promises. We were going to do something real out there. We were going to do something amazing. We're going to move away and live this awesome life, something worth talking about, right? That one day we look back on life, on the life that we're living that we actually chose. He died at 30. And standing there, I took stock of where I actually was. What was I doing with my life? Still in the same town, still playing by the rules that were handed to me at 15, still miserable. He was gone, and I had nothing to show for the time that we thought we'd have, all that stuff that we talked about. And that's the moment something really shifted in me. But what took me longer to understand was this. It wasn't just the town keeping me stuck. It was the invisible tax that I was paying every day to other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, what other people thought I could do. There's a name for it, FOPO, fear of other people's opinions, a concept that psychologist Dr. Michael Gervais has written about extensively. He describes how it really forces people to just play small, just like I was, to stay in line, inside of this line, so nothing that they do invites any judgment from other people. I didn't have a word for it at the time, not until recently, honestly, but I just knew I was exhausted by a life that didn't feel like mine. FOPO doesn't feel like fear. It feels like common sense. This isn't realistic. That's what I always told myself, or even subconsciously thought. People like me, they don't do that. It's not for me. My guidance counselor's words didn't stick because he was right. They stuck because part of me already feared that he was. That's the thing about other people's opinions, They only land when they match something that you already believe about yourself. But the truth is, we're very hard on ourselves. We have opinions about ourselves, about whether what we're doing is right. We have strong opinions about ourselves that we hold inside. So any little thing that somebody else says, it's going to hit one of those fears and it strikes. You let that belief close up, though, and the words slide right off. You leave it open, and someone else's limitations becomes your ceiling. So I sold my house, packed up. I left that small town, man. First I went to Minneapolis, then I ended up in Hawaii, then Thailand. And you know what? I want to be honest about what leaving, though, actually costs, right? I've been there for so long. Small town, you build relationships there, family, friends. And I lost a friendship or two that really mattered. They didn't understand why I was blowing up something that was perfectly fine, a good life. That hurt more than expected. But staying in a life that I had outgrown, that I wasn't happy in, would have hurt worse. So I had to let go. Then, of course, as I said, I moved to Thailand and tried to build a business. Same guy, different country. Because nobody tells you this part. The geography changes. I thought it would help me get over all these invisible fences that were keeping me stuck. Geography changes. Fear does not. I was still playing small over there. I was doing things that I only dreamed of before. Don't get me wrong. I was still outside my comfort zone. I was doing great stuff, but I was still playing small. I still had these limitations. I still had these fears. I was still way too worried about other people would really think if I really went all in and failed publicly, humiliated to me, right? That's how it felt it would be. So I hedged. COVID hit, business went down. But I'd be lying, honestly, if I said it was only COVID. Easy excuse. The fear was already doing real damage before the pandemic even started. So where would I be today? I don't know. But it wasn't just COVID, is all I'm saying. I couldn't keep pretending it wasn't true. What actually changes when you stop performing for other people's approval isn't your circumstances. You don't suddenly get dealt a better hand, right? You just stop folding before the game is over. You stop letting other people's comforts set the limit for your ambition. That's exactly what the let them rule is for. And I'll show you exactly how to use it. Let them. 2 words. That's the whole rule. Let them judge. Let them leave. Let them misunderstand what you're building. Let them think that you've lost the plot. Because the moment you actually try it, you realize something uncomfortable. Most of the control that you thought you had over what people think, you never had it. You're just burning energy pretending that you did. People are going to think what they're going to think. You can't change their opinions, man. They have to change them themselves. That's in anything. And I'd be if I didn't mention Mel Robbins here. She popularized this idea. She has a great book called The Let Them Theory. Check it out. And she doesn't need me pining for you to check out her books. She's doing great, but it's a really good book. But she puts it really plainly. The moment that you feel that pull to manage someone else's opinion, to manage what other people are doing, you say let them and redirect that energy back to yourself. So the second half of the rule is where it really works. This is where it really hits home. Let me get on with it. Let me build something real. Let me stop running every decision through someone else's eyes first. So despite other people, right? Let me do this. Let them do that. Let me do this. That flip is really what makes it functional instead of just like a fancy bumper sticker. Fancy bumper sticker. You know what I mean? I used to cringe at the words influencer, YouTuber. I'm not an influencer, guys. YouTuber, content creator. It felt like something I needed to apologize for. I'd tie myself in knots worrying about what people from my old life were saying. Oh, he's a content creator. And then one day I thought, F it, man. At least I'm doing something. At least I'm actively trying to fix a life that wasn't working for me. You know how many people I know that are out there just numb going through life that aren't happy? It's crazy. There's so many people, and you probably know them too. But I'm not knocking them for it. This life can be hard. I've been there, right? But at least I'm going to do something about it, whatever that is. Think of me what you want. Because what's the alternative? Sit quietly and call that living? Let them think what they want. Let me keep going. Now, here's how you actually put this plan into place, into practice. So, because stop caring without structure is just noise. We hear it all the time. We hear shit like that all the time. Pardon my French. I call it the Detachment Sprint. 7 days, 1 area, 3 moves. As always, I'm making this easy for you because I want it to be easy for you to start out because this will make a difference. All right, so days 1 and 2, you name it. Not like a full list of everyone who drains you, right? Just one area where you're performing hardest for someone else's approval. And you'll know if you sit back with it for a little bit. The one that costs you the most energy. Write it down, say it aloud. Just get specific. Naming it is always important. Day 3 and 4, you feel the cost. Not as a mental exercise. You actually just sit with what the performance has taken from you. Your time, your peace, that quiet aliveness you feel when you're finally just being yourself. Maybe something bigger. What has staying in that performance cost you this year? The past few years, the past 5 years? Days 5 through 7, you make one departure. One small, honest move that breaks that pattern. Not a confrontation. It's not what we're doing here. Not burning it down. Definitely not what we're doing here. Maybe it's a conversation you've been sidestepping. A boundary you've gone soft on. Let people walk over you around. Something that says quietly, but very clearly, this is actually who I am. That's it. Maybe it's something that you've wanted to do, like me, that you were afraid of people who were close to you in life, or even that weren't, just afraid of what they'd think of you. Let them. That it's working won't show up as some chart. It shows up as some of the easy things throughout the day. Stopping yourself mid-thought because you realize you're about to say something you don't mean just to manage someone else's reaction. I'm not saying be a dick here, right? It shows up as saying no to something you never wanted, then waiting for the fallout that never comes. It shows up as laughing at something genuinely funny instead of performing the appropriate response because of who you're with. Now, again, I'm not saying take this to the next level and be an a-hole when you're out to a company dinner, but you know what I'm talking about. it shows up as bigger things. I would have never been doing this, what people thought, right? There's so many things I would have never done. So it can be bigger things too. Maybe you never even start that business because maybe you think other people are going to think it's a silly idea, or you can never do it. Whatever it may be, these show up a lot bigger too, but they show up really small. That's where you can see it in every day. I used to wake up and immediately I would calculate how people saw me. It's crazy. Now I wake up thinking about what I want to do today. That's the real before and after. Look, things are still going to creep in. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but it helps. And you'll start to notice it. Once you notice it, you name it, and you can start to go the opposite direction. Hey, the let them rule, it's not about caring less about people either, right? It's definitely not about caring enough about yourself to stop performing for their approval. If that makes sense. So I want you to pick one area this week. Throw it in the comments, actually. I'd love to hear about it. Run that detachment sprint and watch what opens up when you stop burning that energy. Hey, if this landed, hit subscribe, check out my other videos. I go into depth into things like this, being stuck, being numb, just going through the motions, and how to get out of those cycles, how to get out of overwhelm and anxiety cycles, and start to live with purpose. Start to live your damn life. So check them out. It's all right here on this channel, and I'll see you next time.